Hello, class. We're going to draw this second section here that you see up on screen in this assignment. And actually, I've jumped ahead and drawn most all of the section. And we're going to focus on this video mainly on the stairs because it's very important to know how to draw stairs and how we calculate them out. And so that's what this is going to focus on. The rest of this section you draw exactly like you did the other one. I just want to point out a couple things. The gang together windows. The railing and the line weights and even the roof as it comes down, you sort of see it in distance. That's what's happening here. You see the roof overhang here and then seeing it in the distance over there. Now, up in here, these are the three doors that are on the second floor. This is the door, so I'm cutting through the door here. That's the wall, and just like we do with windows, we show it in lighter line weight to show the door and the door thickness, and then these are the doors and elevations. I'll just show you that in plan really quick. What I'm talking about is the door we're cutting through is here, so you cut through the opening, then you see three doors, that door, this door, and this door at elevation, and you cut through that door and a little bit of that stair there. So that's what we're showing there. Figure it out. That's up to you. Now I'm going to start the stairs. I've had the dimensions already sort of added here. You may not have that already, and that's fine. You can do the stairs first, but I just figured I'd do everything except for the stairs since that's just the sort of last remaining piece here. Now the first thing that you need to do when you're figuring out stairs is to figure out how many stairs or how many risers you actually have. And you have a hint already on this because we've already figured it out and we've given it to you in plan and you can count them in plan. And it turns out that you have 8 on each side for a total of 16. And you can go with that, but I feel like in this video I should tell you why it's 16 in the first place. And so how I would typically get that is if I knew the floor to floor height, which in this case we have because we've drawn the section, and oftentimes to get to this level of detail you have to already have a section drawn and you have to figure it out. Then you have to go and edit the floor plan to update that information, but in this case we've done it for you. But I'm going to draw a line from the floor plan down, and actually I didn't even need to draw that line. I don't know why I'm doing that, because really I just need to know a height that I can measure from the second floor plan to the first floor plan. But I see it here because I have an elevation 0 and an elevation 10, 1 1/4. And so for the next step, I'm going to need to do a little math, pull up my calculator on my computer, or wherever you want to pull it up, your phone or whatever the case might be. And I want to turn 10 foot 1 1/4 inches into all inches. So I'm going to start by doing 10 times 12 to get 10 feet into 10 feet worth of inches, which of course is 120. And then I'm going to add the 1.25 inches. So I'll do 1.25, and of course I could probably do 121.25 in my head in this case because the numbers are fairly simple, but I'm showing you the method should you need to. Then what you're going to do is you're going to divide that by the maximum riser height possible by code, and in residential construction like this it's 7 3/4, so I want to divide by 7.75. And it's going to equal 15.6 whatever. Of course you're going to have whole numbers here, so you can't go down. If I went smaller, if I went to 15, I would have higher than 7 3/4 height, so I have to go to 16. That means ultimately I'm going to have less than 7 3/4. I don't know what the number is, and we can look it up when we're done drawing. I don't need to know. I'm not going to calculate anymore. I just know that I need 16 I need to break this floor to floor height up into 16 different pieces, and then the result is going to be less than that 7 3/4, so I'll be within code. So I'm going to pull this back to this window, and in fact I actually do need that line because I'm going to draw this line now, and I'm going to draw it down, and I'm going to use the divide command, which is under draw, and it's this guy right here, and I'm going to select this. I'm going to say I need 16 of these, so I'm going to click on the line and do 16, enter. And again, it doesn't really look like it did much, but it added a bunch of nodes. You want to make sure your node object snap is on, which is right here, and mine is on, so that's good, because if I zoom in, if I start to draw a line, I will move up just ever so slightly, and I'll get that little symbol circle with an X, and that's a node, and that is where that's going to be the difference between this height and this height, is that first riser height. And I could measure this if I went to like distance, just to see what the height of this actually is, and it's 7 inches and 9/16 of an inch. So something I didn't have to calculate that out. I let AutoCAD sort of do it for me. Now what I'll do is there's a number of ways of doing the treads and the risers, but really what I can do is I can say, okay, well here's the section cut. Here's the first one that's going to come off the ground from that point here. So I'm just going to take this line and draw it straight down, which is going to be way over here when I use perpendicular snap, but I know it's going to be this high, so I can actually run fillet which is going to be F, because here's going to be the tread height, and here's where it's going to actually rise from. And then I can draw the where the second riser is, which is going to be from the second point from my plan, the start of the line, and draw that down to here. And this tread's going to end here. This is going to be the start of the next riser. Actually, I drew that incorrectly. Let me erase this just to make sure. I can see because it's going past that line that I didn't hit the snap I thought I hit, which was supposed to be perpendicular. So just in case I misdrew it, it might have been in the right spot, but I'm not 100% certain, so I'm just going to redraw it down. So I make sure I get that perpendicular snap there. There we go. So now I've got a couple extra guidelines I can get rid of. I'm just going to have one riser and one tread. I'm going to fill it this to here, so riser, tread, start of another riser, but actually I'm going to erase this line because I'll show you how I'm going to do this, and I'm going to erase this guideline. And we can see, if you can see, I don't know if you can see on YouTube, there's a bunch of little dots. Those are the nodes. I don't need any more of those nodes anymore. You could draw from these nodes, and sometimes I do, but I don't need them. So here we go. I got them, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use copy, CO, and I'm going to do it one riser and one tread. Hit enter. I'm going to go from the bottom of this riser to where it starts again. Boom. There's the second stair. There's the third stair. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now 8's halfway, then we hit a landing and go up the other way. So what I can do is I can actually take this line and I can just pull it all the way across for now to make the landing height. And we're going to come up the stairs this way. Oftentimes, if we just take a quick look at this section, our cut line is here, and we just drew this run of stairs from the first floor up to the second floor right here. Just to show that we understand stairs fully, I'm going to have us in a dotted line and a hidden line draw the rest of the stairs going up, which is actually behind us. Oftentimes, I wouldn't necessarily do that in a section, but I think it's a good learning opportunity for us. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in this section. So of course the tread and the stair heights are the same, they're just mirrored the other way around. So I'm going to do a copy of one set of tread and riser here. Just anywhere move it up temporarily, so I can do mirror. MI is the shortcut for mirror, by the way, and I can mirror it. And actually I should have said yes to erase this side, but if I didn't, I can just erase it that way and move this into place here. Now one thing I did is, because I want to make it hidden line, and hidden lines are lighter, so I'm going to select this guy and I'm going to change them. Oh, actually I realized I was drawing completely on the wrong. Oh, well, that's okay. I have to change layers anyway. Let me do that now. It's a good time. So I'm going to go to A color 1 to make this thinner. Actually, I'm cutting through these stairs, so it shouldn't be green. It shouldn't be on the note layer like I've been drawing. It should be on the cyan color layer. So that's color 4. So I can go clean that up there. The other thing I want to do is I want to make this a dotted line. So I am going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to come here to by layer for my line type and change it to we don't have a layer standard for this. I'm going to go to dash. Usually I would have a separate layer, but it's not our layer standard, so I'll just go to dash. We can see even though it says dash, it doesn't look it because it doesn't have the right properties yet to make it look it. So I'm going to go up to properties, which is right here, and oops, hit my properties arrow, which brings up this little guy over here, and I need to change my line type scale over there. So once it's up, I'm going to select these red lines, and I'm not sure what it should be, probably smaller, so let me try 0.25. Let's see if I zoom in, yeah, I just guessed. So it might be too small or too big, I don't know, 0.5. Let me just check something. Let me try something smaller. Sometimes it's just a guess like this. Once you get it once, it should be easy. There we go. 0.15 worked. So you notice I might have done that quickly, but we can see when I select it, this line type is 0.15 and it's dotted line. I can close that. I don't need it anymore because I'll just copy this along. I'll go to copy or CO, enter, and copy this all the way up. Just right up to there, and we actually don't need that top bit of line. It's probably best just to select it and erase it. Oops, I wrote the wrong letter there, I think. And try again, erase it. There we go. And just get that dotted line going straight up through. Now let's give this stair some thickness. I'm just going to generically call it 2 foot thick. So I'm going to change my layer to this color 4 layer, and I'm going to draw a line across the length of that there and offset this. Oh, offset 24 for 2 feet. It's probably a bit thick, but make it so fine. And I'll do the top landing as well, just like that. And then I can erase this. I don't need this any longer. And I'm going to fill it and trim this stuff together. Actually, fill it should work just fine to get all these. Well, actually, I will do some trim. Never mind. So fill it those two together and then trim up where the intersections are. So here and here and there. Excuse me. And now let me do the railing, I think, for this level before I do the basement stairs. So we'll do the railing. We'll actually change this to, let's go color 2 on the railing. And the handrail height is about 36 inches up. So the way I'm going to do this is, it's not 36 offset diagonally, it's 36 up vertically. So I'm going to do a line, and from any riser, I could do the first one, but on the second one I'll just do 36 inches, which is 3 feet. And from any other riser, do another 36 inches up, and then I'll connect those 2 points to get the right angle of my line at the right height there. And I can erase those guidelines because there's a wall here, so I don't need to worry about any guide rails or anything like that. Now I'm going to make my railing height 1.5 inches, so I'll do offset 1.5 for this. And I'll come up here, and I have to start my beginning and ends. And there's a bunch of code that sort of regulates this, but I'm just going to do it to the edge here. And actually, I do. Yeah, okay, this is right. So I'm just going to pull up to the top stair and pull up to the bottom stair, and I'm going to fill it just the bottom edge for now. You'll see, oops, I selected the top one. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm going to fill it the bottom edge of the railing to that point, and the top edge to that point as well. And then the next line wants to be perpendicular to this line, not necessarily straight up and down. Actually, yeah, well, it doesn't matter. Either way, it can be detailed. So let me just do this. Let me draw a line. If I want to do it perpendicular, I can actually just draw that line perpendicular there, and this line perpendicular up here. And then that's too far over. I'm just going to erase this guy. I don't need him. I'm just going to move these guys now all the way to the end because we have already set the correct location to be there. And we set this correct location to be over on this side. And I don't need this line anymore either. I can erase that guy, and I can just do a final fillet for this little edge to that over here, and this little edge to that edge to that over there, and I've got that railing and essentially the first floor to second floor illustrated or drawn in correctly. Got to do the next. Now, as we do the lower floor, we could run the calculation again and say how many, because this is only if you measured it like 9 foot something from floor to floor, not the 10 foot that was that you had on the first floor. So you're going to need less riser height, so we're going to have to do a little bit of construction of this. When you do the calculations, I think you'll get that you only need 15 treads, or sorry, 15 risers to the basement, but for simplicity's sake, to keep them even and above, and it's oftentimes when you do a C run of stairs like this to make even size on each side, we're going to keep it at 16. The actual difference in riser height is so minuscule between 15 and 16 anyway. It's just easier to keep it the same. I think that's the right call. But you never know on any building, whether it's a house or a bigger building, if there's different floor to floor heights, you do have to run the calculation sort of over again. But we're going to go with 16 or a run of 8 and a run of 8. That said, the riser height is different between them. So so I have to start again by drawing this line down, and I have to start by doing the divide command and going 16. We're going to do 16 again, and making sure your node is on, I can find where that first riser is here. And in this case, again, you don't have to do this, but if I were just to measure the distance of this riser, this one happens to be 6 7/8 this time, which again is less than 7 3/4. So we're good to go. And of course, this is going to be right aligned from the first floor plan, so it's just going to be this length. And I can trim all this stuff up and erase the extra guidelines I don't need, erase all the extra nodes that are left over. That's just like that, and then match properties to put it on a cut line layer. So like this, and I'll just do the same thing. I'll copy this up and do all the same steps I did on this one. So I'm just going to pause the video to get this section of stair in there and then come back here in a second. All right, we're back. When you do this, just make sure you trim out this section, and also make sure you trim out the floor here so you don't hit your head here, that this floor needs to be clear and trimmed all the way back to there. But when you've done that, you've gotten the stairs, and if you've done that, just finish up this section and make sure you got this section done, make sure you got this section done, and the sections are good to go. I'll just do one quick video on the title blocks for this stuff.